Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Readology. This is Readology episode 3. So if you haven't gotten the chance to, please go back and take a listen to Readology episodes 1 and 2, where I'm talking about the book 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Weist. So I'm just going to start out briefly at the beginning of this podcast and just talk a little bit more about what it is I'm doing every week and why we're talking about some of these topics. And don't worry, I will be very, very quick. But basically, I wanted to make Readology as an opportunity for people to engage in self-help on the go. You know, everybody wants to read a ton of books. I wish I had the time to read more than I do, but you know, the reality is not everybody can be reading on a normal basis and really gaining valuable knowledge from self-help books. And so self-help is something that I'm so passionate about, self-growth and spirituality and my own personal journey. And so I figured that I would share that with you guys in the form of a podcast that has also taken shape into continuing posting videos on my YouTube channel for you guys to engage with me visually. If you want to see my cute outfits that I'm wearing, if you're listening on Spotify or your podcasting app, go ahead and switch over to YouTube if you want to see what I'm wearing today. But if not, if you're just, driving in your car, or you have a moment of silence before bed or anything, what have you, and you just want something, food for thought that's going to help you make slight changes that will, change your lifestyle, change your perceptions, change your worldview, then definitely feel free to engage with me whichever way you can. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Today we are still reading 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And to be honest with you, I'm going to keep making podcast episodes about this book up until the point that I stop finding nuggets of wisdom that I want to share with listeners. And, sure enough, I found another chapter that I thought was really impactful, and I want to share it with you guys today. So let's go ahead and dive in. As always, this is going to be us reading, me talking a little bit, and then if you're engaging with me on YouTube, please feel free to leave a comment down below about your thoughts about any of what we're reading and any of the content that I share. So today we're reading chapter 13, which is titled 101 Things More Worth Thinking About Than Whatever's Consuming You. And when I tell you this chapter is coming at a great time for me in my life and in my week, I cannot stress that enough. I think I have been getting so caught up in, these big existential questions like, who am I? What is my purpose? What should I be doing with my life? Am I on the right track? Am I wasting my time? And in all of these conversations, that I'm having with friends and family, as I'm reflecting back on them, I'm like, I just need to chill out. I need to focus on my blessings and gratitude and how I can be of service to others, not just be caught up in my ego and my internal problems. So I've been very mentally oriented recently, but I thought that I would share this chapter with you guys, and we can kind of discuss some of these things and why these are small little joys in our lives that actually bring us so much joy and purpose in the long term. They're actually, discounted moments of joy that maybe we just glance over and we should focus on more. So let's go ahead. Number 1, the way it will feel to have the life you want, the place you'll live, the clothes you'll wear, what you will buy at the supermarket, how much money you'll save, what work you'll be most proud to have done, what you'll do with your weekends, what color your sheets will be, what you'll take photos of. I think this is so important because in one of the previous episodes of Readology, I spoke about the importance of not waiting to live the lifestyle that you want until all of the circumstances are met. It's, creating a context for that life to come to you based off of the life that you're consciously creating. So all of these are things that you can just give energy to today in the now. Like something as simple as, if I had everything I wanted, my sheets would be bright orange and linen. Then girl or boy, go out there and buy those orange linen sheets. It's little things like that will really change your perceptions and really just make you be like, oh, there's so many conditions of this life that I want, that I tell myself, well, when I have this, I'll get that. But like, no, just do it now, or just, visualize it, make the time to visualize. So that's number 1. Number 2, The parts of yourself you need to work on, not because someone else doesn't love them, but because you don't. Number 3, the fact that sometimes the ultimate expression of self-love is admitting you don't like yourself and coming up with steps to change the things that you know you can and will do better. Number 4, a list of things that turned out to be very right for you and what similar feeling accompanied each of them. Number 5, the way you will quantify this year. How many books you want to say you've read, how many projects you've completed, how many connections with friends and family you fostered or rekindled, how you spent your days. Number 6, the things in the past that you thought you'd never get over and how insignificant they seem today. I do want to talk about this really quickly. I realized and have been realizing that this moment in my life where I'm 24 and I tell myself that the circumstances in my life don't look exactly the way that I need them to in order to find happiness and joy and fulfillment in this moment. I think of, and I've been thinking of this kind of often, how 5 or 10 years from now, I'm going to zoom out on my life experience of my 20s, because in 5 years I'll be almost 30. I'm gonna zoom out of this life experience and this place that I'm in my life right now, and everything that I'm going through and feeling is going to seem so insignificant. You know, the fact that I don't live in the location that I want to live in, the fact that I'm feeling so much inner turmoil on a day-to-day basis because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing? And I know that, 5 to 10 years from now, I will have clarity. I know I won't have all the answers, but I'll have a lot more clarity than I do now. And that brings me a lot of comfort, and I hope that it brings you comfort as well. Anyways, number 7. Did I say number 6? Number 7. What you will create today, what food you will eat, and who you will connect with. These are the only things you carry with you. Number 8. How you learn best and how you could possibly integrate that form of comprehension into your life more often. Do things that are more visual or listen better. Try to experiment more often, and so on. Number 9, the fact that you do not need to be exceptionally beautiful or talented or successful to experience the things that make life profound. Love, knowledge, connection, community, and so on. Let's talk about that in relation to social media really quickly. I thought that I was somebody who, I won't say immune, but I thought that I was somebody who could be on social media and experience limited backlash of spending a significant amount of time on social media, seeing all of these very beautiful people, especially on TikTok, seeing all of these very beautiful people have the lives they want, be talking about how they make thousands and thousands of dollars a month and how they live in the most beautiful apartments, and how they met their soulmate or how they manifested, whatever. I thought I could see all of that and really think like, well, I'm unaffected by that. Like, I know that is a small part of your life, and that's probably not entirely accurate what you're trying to portray to people. But I've just kind of realized that I have created this condition for myself in my own reality where I'm like, oh, well, if I want to be successful on social media, then I need to wear a ton of makeup, or I need to have fake lashes, or I need to get my nails done consistently, or I need to be posting these beautiful pictures on Instagram all the time. And I think that is such a limiting belief that you create, and that I think a lot of people have. A lot of people look at social media, they look at influencers, and they have created this giant mental divide where they're like, that can't be me because I don't look like that. But there are so many influencers out there that are just like influencers for other things. Like, maybe you're not a fashion or a beauty guru, but you're still doing something profound. Like, the environmental movement right now is popping off, and like influencers within that movement look like all kinds of people. And they're not these done up people that wear a ton of makeup or put themselves out there a certain way. They seem like very normal people that are pretty transparent about what their day-to-day lives look like. So, whether you want to be the Instagram baddie, like, more power to you. But if you also want to just be a normal person on social media that shares their experience, do that too. And maybe it's not even social media oriented. Maybe it's just this idea that whatever you want in your life, you've created a condition. Like, you're not going to have the partner that you want until you, I don't know, lose 10 pounds or, very harmful things like that. And I just want to take a moment to tell you that that's not true. You can have whatever you want to have the moment that you remove that limiting belief that you've set for yourself in your mental state. So now that was kind of deep stuff, but let's keep going. Number 10, the cosmos. This is, again, something you can think about instead of all of your big problems. The cosmos, and how despite being insignificant specks, we are all essential to the core patchwork that makes up humanity, and that without any single one of us, nothing would exist as it is right now. Number 11, the proper conjugations for language you could stand to speak conversationally. Number 12, the people you smiled at on the street this morning, the people whom you text regularly, the family you could stand to visit more, all of the little bits of genuine human connection that you overlook because they've become givens. I just realized I have to call my grandma. Maybe call your grandma right now. I don't know. I'm not, finish the podcast and then call your grandma. But that definitely reminded me I need to call my grandma. Number 13, how you will remember this time in your life 20 years from now. What you will wish you had done or stopped doing. What you overlooked. What little things you didn't realize you should have appreciated. I want everyone to just do an exercise right now. I'm going to do mine verbally on this podcast because I'm podcasting. But I also want you to be thinking about these things. So I'm just really quickly going to share some things. I'm going to project myself a few years, 20 years into the future. So that's actually kind of a lot. And I'm going to look back and I'm going to name some things that I wish I had done or that I had stopped doing. I'm going to name some things that I have overlooked. And then I'm going to name some little things that I didn't realize I should have appreciated more. My roommate just got home. It's fine. Roommate situations, Okay. Something I wished that I had done or stopped doing, comparing myself to others. I know that sounds like such a cliche, but it kind of goes back to how when you compare yourself to other people that are so much further along in your journey, you start to take away so much of the accomplishment that you have from being where you are right now. So I know that I'm going to wish that I had just been really proud of myself. Some things that I overlooked, I think how beautiful nature is, how beautiful the weather is on the East Coast in the spring, the slowness and the tangible pace of fall and how fall is coming. And just kind of that calm that settles in as you wait for kind of like winter to become a thing. I think small moments with my family. I think in my head when I'm with my family, I'm just kind of there going through the motions, and I know that I'm going to look back and I'm going to be really glad that I had this time to be so close to the majority of my family. I think things I'm going to realize or wish that I should have appreciated, my youth and the fact that I don't have a lot of attachments at this point in my life. I think, it's my roommate again. I think that I'm also going to miss the idea that at this point in time I can literally go anywhere or do anywhere, and I conflate it to be this big thing in my head, but it's really not. Like, I know that I could do it pretty easily. So I know that I'm gonna wish that I've appreciated this time of being single, of having no dependents, of having a month-to-month lease, of living in a location where I have access to so many things. But okay, number 14. How few of your days you will really remember. Number 15, how you likely won't remember this particular day 20 years from now. Number 16. Everything you honestly didn't like about the person you're no longer with, now that you're not emotionally obligated to lie to yourself about them. When I tell you I read this for the first time and this hit me so hard, I really had to ruminate. I really had to go back in my Rolodex and I just had to think, wow. And it's so interesting. I obviously am not going to air out any of my exes on this podcast. This is not what this is about, but I was looking through my notes in my phone a couple weeks ago, and the notes in my phone were about an ex of mine that I just perceived so differently after my breakup. I was like writing these things like, oh, he's so considerate, like he does this, and this for me. I love him so much. He's the most beautiful, amazing, interesting person that I've ever met. And then I went back and I read those notes after, it had been a while since the breakup. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I still believe those things about this person? And it's not that I didn't, but it was just like with the passion that I wrote, you would have thought this person was like a saint. And now being removed from that relationship, I realized that was so not the situation. So that's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Okay, number 17. A list of all the things you've done for yourself recently. Oh, God. Number 18. Little ways you can improve your quality of day-to-day life, such as consolidating debt or learning to cook an easy signature meal or cleaning out your closet. Let's talk about self-care for a moment and how there's a self-care trend and movement right now that's all about doing bubble baths and face masks and skincare. All of those things are very, very valuable, but when I tell you the self-care that I benefit from the most, and I hate to create a hierarchy, but when I feel the best about myself, it's not when I have just, taken a bath for an hour or like read my favorite book, although those things are valuable and they have their place. It's actually when I have a difficult task that I know that I'm putting off and I write it down and then I get it done. Like I had to learn how to establish credit this past year, and I'm 24. I know like a lot of people have already done that, but that was a huge thing in my mind, like a huge thing in my life where I was like, I have no idea where to begin. My parents did not help me. They were just kind of like, oof, you got to do that on your own. I just bought a flash drive to clean out all of the photos, the 1,000+ photos I have on my current phone. What else did I do? I just did a ton of small tasks. Like I got on top of, I'm going to be very technical, my reproductive health this past year. Those are all things that take a lot of time, and it takes those systems that we have to do those things within are usually so bureaucratic. So you're going from office to office and checking in with this person, calling back that person, and finding your birth certificate and remembering your social security number. But those are things that when I tell you that once they're done, you'll feel so accomplished and you will just have this feeling of immense love and appreciation and respect for yourself for doing those things. That to me is priceless. So that if you needed any ideas for little ways that you can improve your life, just make a list of all of those things that you know you got to do and like kind of look into, and then just set a date, and little by little, just create little baby steps for yourself. Even if all you do today, like for example, if you have to consolidate your loans before federal student loans come back in September, just make a list, look up what it means to refinance a loan. That is your homework for one day. And then next week, make another task and just keep doing that until you get closer and closer and closer to the actual loan consolidation. That's what I have done, and it has really worked for me. So if that works for you, please take that. I hope it works for you. Number 19, the patterns in your failed relationships and what degree of fault you can rightfully hand yourself. That's a hard pill to swallow. Number 20, what you subconsciously love about the problems you struggle to get over. Nobody holds on to something unless they think it does something for them. Usually keeps them safe. Yes, this. I hate to admit that I am like this. Well, I won't say that. I hate to admit that that is a pattern that I fall into, and I am really trying to break out of it. You know how when you are mad at a friend, or you're just like not content, you're discontent with whatever, and you talk about it to one person once, and realistically, that's all you need to really feel like you vented and like got it out of your system. But then something about explaining that situation and being like, how dare they? Like, it creates a sort of a sense of entertainment, you know? And then once you have that energy of that story or whatever, the situation, the context that you are like reliving by talking about it, you continue to replay that because it's giving you energy. Like there's energy flowing from somewhere. And I feel like I am someone who in the past has gotten addicted to that energy. Like if somebody does something that I don't like and I go, call my mom and I'm like, oh my God, so-and-so did this. And it feels so good to talk about it that I call someone else and I'm like, oh my God, let me tell you, so-and-so did this. And then it really spirals. Like it really spirals into this place where I'm like, every time I talk about this, I relive this situation, this negative situation that I know is not serving me to continue to talk about, but I do it. And I have to ask myself, what about talking about it is giving me energy? And knowing that that energy is not positive energy, it's actually like this very corrosive energy. So that's something that I'm working on. Number 21. The idea that perhaps the current problem in your life is not the problem, but that your perception is skewed, or you aren't thinking of solutions as much as you are focusing on your discomfort. Yes. I feel like I don't have a lot to say about that other than yes. If you have a problem, kind of going back to number 20, what do you love about that problem so much that you're willing to continue living out the cycles of somebody who has that problem? And I can tell you, it really is like a switch. When you flip that switch and you decide, my identity is not rooted in being somebody who has this problem. Like, for example, if you are playing out an abusive or just negative all around relationship cycle, what about you is choosing based off of your identity or whatever placements or attachments you have to that identity and who you are in that relationship? How are you attaching your identity to that, and why are you continuing to play that out? What about that is like sweet to you, even if it's bittersweet? I feel like that's a really important question that I have to ask myself too when I get into situations where I'm like, this is not serving me. What part of my identity have I attached to this circumstance where I feel like I deserve this, where I feel like I deserve to feel horribly or be treated negatively or not make money easily? It really all comes back to your mindset, and what you tell yourself is a part of your identity and what you then allow into your reality. Okay, moving on. Number 22, the ways you have sincerely failed and how you can commit yourself to doing better, not only for yourself, but for the people who love and rely on you. Number 23, the ways in which your current situation, though perhaps unplanned or unwanted, could be the path to the place you've actually always wanted to be, if only you begin to think of it that way. Yes, if you are like me, and you can be any age, but if you're like me and you're at a place in your life right now where you feel like you didn't, in some ways you built the life that you have right now, but mostly you feel like it kind of found you and now you're like playing out this life that you're not sure if you want, only because you know you want something else, then I just encourage you to sort of create this visual, create this narrative of yourself as like you're walking through a forest with a very, very, very windy path, and anytime that you seek self-advancement or self-growth, the universe drops a little hint along the path. It drops a little hint along the way. As long as you're doing your best, you're keeping your eyes open, you're developing yourself, the universe is always guiding you through this forest with these windy, windy roads, and you're never truly lost. You're just on the path. You're just on the journey. And so where you are at now, as long as you're not fixating on the stagnation, as long as you're not ruminating and marinating in the problems that you're having in the current situation that you're in, the universe is giving you signs and little breadcrumbs that are gradually moving you along the path. So as long as you're creating movement, creating flow, and creating pathways and following the path, you're being led somewhere. And I honestly need to take my own advice because I am always like, I'm not where I want to be. I don't have what I want to have. I need to move. I need to make a drastic change. And just, be patient. It's like, just be patient because this current situation is along the path. It's placed on the path for you to walk past so that you can pick it up and you can create meaning in it, and then you can continue on the path. So I hope that's helpful. Let's end with one more. I want to find a really good one for you guys to end off on. Let's see. Okay. I'm still thinking. Give me one moment. Okay, let's end on this one because I feel like this is a really good one and a message that I need today. Number 34, how you can help other people, even just by sitting down to speak with an old friend, buying someone dinner, or sharing an article or a quote that resonated with you. I will just end on, in some of your darkest days, in some of my darkest days, what I know I need to do and what I've done in the past that has really helped me is seek out connection of some kind. It's like, I know when I'm feeling down, and it's so crazy how this works, but it's like, I know if I'm feeling really down, I know if I try and lift somebody up, I will automatically lift myself up. And I don't know why this is, but it's like, the days where you like come across something motivational and you're just not feeling it. You're like, whatever, this quote does not even apply to me today. Just take a moment, send that quote to a friend, send it to your mom, send it to your grandma, send it to somebody, and just tell them that you're thinking of them and that you love them. And I can guarantee you that it will not only make their day, but you knowing that you made their day will just give you a sense of purpose outside of yourself. That kind of, for a moment, makes your problems seem so much smaller than they are. Because at the end of the day, this life is about human connection. It's like, yes, we're here to fulfill a purpose and we're here to, do all the things that we want to do and enjoy our lives. But at the end of the day, it's also like, how many people are we genuinely connecting with? So I encourage you guys to think about that this week. I hope this whole episode gave you guys something to think about. I love having these sit-down conversations because I feel like it's like giving myself advice in a way. It's like giving myself advice that I know I need, but then as I'm on this journey, I hope that you guys can be right there with me. And as always, please leave a comment down below. If anything that we talked about resonated with you, go give me a follow on my Instagram. I will post that in the description box down below. If you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up. That is so, so helpful. If you like the podcast, if you're listening on Spotify, please share it with a friend, put it on your Instagram stories, what have you. It's all super, super helpful. But thank you guys so much for listening or watching, and I'll see you later.